It all began with a photograph, a faded picture of a baby wrapped in a blue kikuyu, eyes closed, a tiny fist curled against her cheek. 16-year-old Wanjiku stared at the image, tears glistening in her eyes. Something about the photo stirred a pain she could not explain. That baby was her, yet the story behind it was a secret wrapped in silence. Years earlier, in the sun-scorched hills of a small Kikuyu village, Samuel and Grace Kariuki were celebrating the birth of their daughter. They named her Wanjiku, after Samuel's late mother, a symbol of life continuing even in hardship, but the joy was short-lived. Within weeks, Wanjiku began to struggle for breath, her small chest rising and falling rapidly in painful gasps. The local clinic diagnosed her with a severe congenital heart defect. The only hope was a surgery in Nairobi, a procedure the family simply could not afford. Samuel and Grace were poor farmers. Their days were spent tending maize and goats, their nights filled with whispered prayers and silent worrying. The doctors gave them weeks sad. Time was running out. And so they turned to the age-old Kikuyu principle of ubuntu, I am because we are, in their community. When one suffered, all suffered. Help came not from strangers, but from the hands of neighbors, elders, and kin. It was during a village gathering under the great magumo tree that Nyawira stepped forward. A respected midwife, known for her strength and compassion, Nyawira offered to take Wanjiku into her home temporarily. She would care for the baby as if she were her own, while the Kariukas tried to raise money for the operation. She even promised to help with the treatment, assuring the community she had connections in Nairobi. What no one could have guessed was that Nyawira had buried her own stillborn child just months before. Grief had hollowed her spirit, and when she saw Wanjiku, frail and beautiful, something inside her twisted. This was her second chance, she believed. Her silent pain turned into a desperate plan. With solemn rituals and elder blessings, Wanjiku was handed over. Grace wept as she wrapped her baby in a blanket and kissed her forehead. Samuel's voice cracked as he made promises to visit often. Nyawira nodded, respectful, calm. But inside, she had already decided this child would never return. At first, all seemed well. Nyawira brought Wanjiku to village meetings, cooing over her like a proud mother. She said doctors had seen the child, that her health was improving miraculously. When Samuel and Grace visited, they found Wanjiku clean, well-fed, and smiling. Gratitude kept them quiet. They didn't want to seem ungrateful or suspicious. But gradually, things changed. Nyawira became distant. Visits were rescheduled. Excuses were made. She's sleeping. She's unwell. She cries when you leave. Soon, they were seeing their daughter only during public festivals, if at all. In reality, Nyawira had never taken Wanjiku to Nairobi. The medical story was fabricated. What truly happened was a mix of luck and resilience. Wanjiku's condition improved over time, enough to seem healthy. Nyawira used this as proof of her care, deepening her role as mother. Years passed. Wanjiku began to call Nyawira Mama. She had vague memories of two strangers' faces she could not place. Nyawira told her they had left her, that she had been unwanted. The life festered like rot in her heart. By the time Wanjiku was 10, Grace and Samuel were broken. They had spent years pleading with village elders, writing letters, and even trying to involve the courts, an impossible feat in a rural area where documentation was minimal and influence carried more weight than truth. Some villagers believed them. Others said, let it be, the child is well. Wanjiku's siblings asked about her constantly. Her brother, Kimani, remembered her cries as a baby. Her sister, Jerry, clung to the only photo they had. But the years carved a deep canyon between what was and what could be. Then, everything changed. At 16, Wanjiku applied for a scholarship to study in Nairobi. She needed her birth certificate and medical history. Nyawira grew nervous, but dismissed her with vague reassurances. Frustrated, Wanjiku decided to visit the county office herself. What she found there cracked her world in two. Her name was listed under different parents Samuel and Grace Kikuyu. Her documents had never been legally transferred. There was no record of adoption, no consent papers. Only a note, scrawled years ago, describing temporary care. Confused and angry, Wanjiku began to ask questions. Her curiosity led her to the Kikuyu farm, a place she had seen once, long ago, in the back of her dreams. There, she met Jerry. The resemblance was undeniable. They stood in stand silence, then wept like the rain after a drought. When Wanjiku confronted Nyawira, the woman broke down. Sobbing, she admitted everything. Her baby had died. Her heart had broken. And when Wanjiku came into her arms, she could not let go. She had told herself she was saving the child. But deep down, she had known this was not hers to keep. The reunion with her birth parents was both beautiful and heartbreaking. Grace clung to her daughter like a woman resurrected. Samuel wept openly for the first time in years. But Wanjiku, torn between love and betrayal, could not feel whole. She had been raised by lies but cared for with genuine love. Her loyalty to Nyawira didn't vanish overnight, but the weight of truth was undeniable. The village was stunned. Some sided with the Kikuyu, outraged by the betrayal. Others defended Nyawira, insisting her grief made her actions understandable. Elders held meetings for days, debating what had gone wrong and how it could have been prevented. Nyawira faced legal consequences, though limited. The courts acknowledged the absence of malicious intent but condemned the deception. Wanjiku chose not to press charges fully. She could not bring herself to destroy the only home she'd known. Nyawira faced legal consequences, though limited. The courts acknowledged the absence of malicious intent but condemned the deception. Wanjiku chose not to press charges fully. She could not bring herself to destroy the only home she'd known. Today, new protocols exist in that village. No child is given over without written agreements, oversight, and regular visits. Ubuntu still breathes, but now it does so with eyes wide open. Wanjiku lives between two worlds, one built on lies and one built on blood. She has learned that identity is more than who raises you or who birthed you. It is the truth you choose to carry and the love you decide to grow from. Some mistakes echo through generations, but even in the echo, healing can take root.